Hello everyone, it's Nanny Moo and Papa Dunk, and today we're in Hinton Ampner, which is in Hampshire, a National Trust property. We're currently in the gardens making the most of a rather lovely late September Saturday. Though we're coming to the end of the season, there's some really lovely blooms here. And as a National Trust property, there's a wonderful little shop which we will explore later. Some lovely garden ornaments. I'm going to try and resist buying too much here, but we're certainly going to have a look. Some lovely dahlias and roses of the hardy type, because the Hampshire soil is quite clay-like. Roses tend to be quite hardy anyway, but I think these are particularly suited to the type of soil which is found in this area. Papa Dunk has just taken a snapshot of these flowers to find out what they are. Have we found out yet? What is it called?
Well, it's a garden dahlia.
Oh, it's a garden dahlia. What did I say? Dahlias come in all shapes and all forms. I'm particularly liking the really sort of dark green foliage here, and really contrasted with the yellow flowers. Much of the garden as we see today is the legacy of the Dutton family, in particular Ralph Dutton, who was the 8th and final Lord of Sherborne. Some wonderful dahlias on display. Only recently have I really become interested in dahlias. So many varieties and shapes. I'm looking for one called P.G. Woodhouse, but it's quite rare to find. But if anyone knows where I might be able to locate one, that would be fabulous. We have two cats, two rescue cats from the Cats Protection Home, and their names are Jeeves and Worcester. Hence, when we saw at a garden over the summer a dahlia version called PGC Woodhouse, we went, that would be great in our garden. It looked really good as well. So we're getting ready for Halloween, and wow, have a look at these pumpkins. And a canopy of squash of some sort. And some magnificent sunflowers. Past their best, but still great. What I like about this garden is that it does have little labels so that you know what you're looking at. Papa Duncan and I are getting better at recognising various flowers and fruits and vegetables. So it was an early start for Papa Dunk and I. We didn't have breakfast, so before we take a look at the rest of the grounds and the house itself, we thought we would just refuel. How's it looking, Papa Dunk?
Yep, good, thank you.
Here at Hinton Ampner there is a rose garden which we're going to go out and explore, but just take a look for one moment at the view, the vista. Imagine waking up to that each morning and seeing it change through the seasons. Haven't quite got to the rose garden yet, but I've stopped here looking at this wonderful dahlia, all spiky. How fabulous. Very popular place with families and couples. Here's a rose, but it's not in the rose garden, I don't believe. We've decided to wait to go into the house. Of course, as a National Trust house property, you aren't allowed to film inside, which is fair enough. More dahlias. Very impressive. Just looking back to the house. This is more of a country residence, I would have thought, rather than a stately home. But it is set in such wonderful grounds. Many of the walks are as part of the South Downs National Park, where Papa Dunk and I live very close to it. Literally, we're in the foot of the Surrey Hills and the start of the South Downs. So we're not quite sure what it is, which area we live in. We'll adopt both. Here at Hinton Ampner, if you want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the house's gardens and the house itself and the chapel, there are loads of walks that you can do, and you can see here some people taking advantage of those walks. And why wouldn't you on a day like today? We've established that there probably isn't a dedicated rose garden, though there's lots of roses around. There is a yew garden which has some very, very old yew trees, so we're off to see if we can find those, and some sunken gardens. Now, I don't know whether this is part of the sunken garden, but it certainly would make a great bowling green, don't you think? And back to some of our wonderful dahlias. There's so many varieties of dahlias here in this garden. So throughout the garden there's some wonderful little paths that take you off the main tracks. Really worth exploring. I don't think those are yew trees though, Papa Dunk. Don't know what they are. If you know, let us know. Oh, we've just established Papa Dunk was right. These are yew trees. But I'd read somewhere, looking at the history of this house, that these yew trees were very, very old. Maybe they are very old and I'm not recognising age. You can see how much love went into creating this garden. I don't think you'd ever tire looking at it. Some really nice ironwork. Wonder how old that is. Looks very weather worn. But just have a look at those views. I believe we've come across where the ancient yew trees are. Different types of yew trees. Yew trees which perhaps we would recognise more easily. We do have a map of the grounds. But we're not using it. Wild exploring. Heard of wild camping? Wild walking? This is wild exploring. Just letting your nose lead the way. So we're outside Upper Itchen Benefice, the parish church of All Saints in Hinton Ampner, founded in the 13th century. Papa Dunk and I are walking on the outside. Don't think I've ever seen so many people being attracted to the inside of a church. So we're waiting for some of the people to clear before we take a look inside. As I've said before in some of my other videos, I'm by no means an expert on the architecture of churches. There are plenty of people out there on YouTube and elsewhere who are. But we really do love looking inside churches. I particularly like graveyards. And here we have tombstones. Mary, the wife of James Morley, who died February 13th, 1962, aged 44. And in memory of Gilbert John, the eldest son of James and Mary Morley, who died in 1870, aged 31. And it's always a little bit touching when you read inscriptions, such as this one here, of children of the family. Here is George Henry, son of the above, who died in his infancy. Papa Dunk and I are almost alone in the churchyard, but we've come across a marking for Henry John Dutton of Hinton Ampner House, born the 17th of January 1847 and died the 1st of January 1935. And we know that the Dutton family were residents and caretakers of this house for much of the Victorian and up until the 1960s. So marvellous to have come across this. And I bet a lot of people visiting will have missed this column here in memory of Henry John Dutton. In keeping with the church being here since the 13th century, we have a magnificent yew tree as might be expected. With the roots extending way out into the ground, regenerating and providing quite a shady resting place. For those buried underneath, and very, very old tombstones. Going to look inside the church now. A window that looks like it's been blocked up. And that's looking back towards the house. So as I mentioned earlier, as well as the house and the gardens, there are a number of walks you can take. The ancient tree trail, Stew Kelly Walk, and the Dutton Walk. Both Papa Dunk and I are just recovering from some heavy colds, so we think we might look for the ancient tree trail. It says that it's easy. It's 1.47 miles and it's 45 minutes long. We'll report back when we get back. We're taking a walk on one of the paths. I'm not quite sure it was the path that we had intended, but we could see in the distance people walking. On a day like today, it really is excellent walking weather. You can hear the wind of the trees behind us. And there's a wonderful mixture of landscapes with copses, paddocks, and green wherever you look. We're going to head back to the house now and have a wander around the house. We really enjoyed our visit to Hinton Ampner. The staff in the cafe, bookshop and shop were really friendly and welcoming. It would be hard not to go home without a trinket or two to remind you of your visit. It's a great place for all the family, and we plan to visit again to explore further the estate walks. As Ralph Dutton said, this is tranquility. So it's bye for now. Bye for now.